Hello, everyone. Have you heard about the Geary, Stein and Stevens Show? An amazing podcast with sports stars, entertainment celebrities, and other great guests. Somebody, one host who has no legs, one host who lives in Duluth, Minnesota, and another host in Minnesota who can never be found. These guys get amazing guests and topics that no other show can provide, exclusively on your home TV and now the Roku app. That's the Geary, Stein and Stevens Show. Check us out, America.
Well, welcome to another edition of the Geary, Stein and Stevens Show. I'm sorry to say Troy is busy working today and Will is wherever, of course, Will is. We never know where Will is, but it is another great edition of the Geary, Stein and Stevens Show. I am so excited. I am really excited for today's guest. And if you don't know who my guest is, let me play a little bit of music that might give you who that might be. It's a good old song, right? Boomer, you remember this song?
Any good old song is music to our ears, Dave. How are you, pal? Good to see you. Good to be with you.
I am doing great, and I am so excited that we are going to spend a little time with the legendary Chris Berman, and Boomer joining us today from just up the street from me. I'm in Bristol. Boomer's in Cheshire. And Boomer, how long have you lived in Cheshire?
Cheshire, 35 years. So, hey, Central Connecticut, we love it here. We're, good location. We can breathe the air, but we can get to New York and Boston if we have to. Hartford, New Haven, 11 miles from bucolic Bristol, Connecticut. So it's a nice drive, and on Sundays, no school buses, 16 minutes, no problem.
And we are taping this today on Veterans Day. So first off, I want to say thank you so much to those that served. My dad served in World War II. Your dad, a wonderful man who I got to meet so many times, of course, also fought. And, we wouldn't be where we are today if it wasn't for those before us that laid their life on the line.
Well, and whenever you're seeing it, or not you, anybody, happy, if that's the right word, heartfelt Veterans Day to those who served, those who are serving, and those who are thinking about serving. Dad, well, look, put it this way, Dave, your dad, everybody, they don't make them like that generation anymore. And that includes those of us that are almost 70. We're not made like that, but I'm glad that we knew those, and there's some left, but knew those who were just of that generation. It helped mold us into what I hope are the good people that we are. So thanks to your dad for doing such, and that was it was necessary. I'm reminded of a quote from one of my favorite football people. That would be Marv Levy, the Hall of Fame coach of the Buffalo Bills back in the day. And Marv was asked, Dave, when the Bills got to their fourth Super Bowl in a row, only team to do it, albeit they didn't win any, so therefore they're 0-3. 93, he was asked at the big press conference, one of the questions, is this Super Bowl, Marv, a must win? And he went, no. World War II is a must win. Say no more.
Well, it was so awesome to get to know your dad, and he was such a proud man. Unfortunately, my dad died in 1986, so he didn't get to see the things that I got to do going to ESPN. But I know you and your dad were so close. Your mother also an influence in your life. But how proud was your dad? Well, we'd bring him into those Sunday NFL war rooms and stuff like that, and he'd be around. But to see this kid that came from where he did, and you became a national phenomenon, it just must have been such a proud feeling for your dad.
Yeah, it was. Any dad you hope or mom are proud of their kids. That's really a big part of why we're on the earth. I'm proud of mine, who are 30, or ours, I should say, 38 and 37. They're really good people, and you can go to sleep at night as a parent thinking that. I don't know that my success made him think that him sleep well at night. He was a sports fan, but not to the degree that I am or even was growing up. But he got a kick out of seeing his I have one brother 2 years younger than me. A kick out of seeing his two boys be into specifically the Joe Namath Jets. That's Shea Stadium. That's a long time ago. I grew up really, if you will, sports-wise at Shea Stadium. If Joe played 70 games there. I told Joe this, I was at 65 of them. But I think he was happy to see his kids enjoy that. The fact that I made this as a living. He only asked me a couple times, Chris, supposing ESPN doesn't work. Either my love of trying to be a sportscaster doesn't work, A, or B, okay, you got this job, not my first job, but I was only 24 when I started. And he asked me just once or twice, you think you ought to maybe get a business degree just in case it doesn't work. And the first part was about me. I said, no, I'm going to give this a go, Dad. I want to see. I guess I can always go back and do that. I owe it to myself to go for it. And the second was ESPN cable. What was it? 79, 1980. Was it going to make it? And I said, I'll tell you what, if it makes it 2 years, well, I'm on from 1979 to 1981. And then happens to go under. Not that I was so smart, Dave, in our 20s. We're not. I said, I'm on a half an hour at least a night. I'm getting reps, if you will, that if I was doing local sports, I'd get in one night what I would get in a week doing the 6 or the 11 somewhere. And I'll know if I'm good enough, even if the place doesn't make it. And that was the last he said, well, then be great at it. That was it. That was what that generation was, too. Not so much pontificating, just keeping the rudder in the water and the boat pointed in the right direction. As I look back at most of that generation, that's what I think of.
Well, let's jump in that boat. And you started out, early in your career, from Hackley School to Brown University to WVIT. I mean, how did that journey get you there? When did you find this love for sports to not play it, but you wanted to announce it?
Well, to not play it was easy. I mean, I'm in high school, small high school, you play. Yeah, I'm 6'4". We shrank, Dave. You had a small school, so I played on the basketball team. I was okay. I was a pretty good soccer goalie, actually. But that's as far as you go. Like, you're not. I took a look when I was a freshman at Brown at the soccer practice, the freshman team. Because I thought, I wonder if I'm. And I knew in one day, I'm done. Congratulations. If that's your best sport, you're done. By the way, Brown went to the Final Four that year in soccer when I was a freshman. So I was really done, So, but I kind of always wanted to do it. 12 years old, turn down the sound on TV, announcing. My mother would run out of the room. Oh, my God. That kind of stuff. And had this love. And at Brown, we don't have communications or journalism. I knew that. I majored in American history. I'm thrilled to this day that I did. It was not an issue of, communications or journalism is bad. It's not bad. It's just, I'm glad I learned something else. Because you don't have time to go back and learn that usually. And so I did all the Brown games. You're doing it electively, like you would be a member of the band or the leader in a play or anything else that you might do extracurricularly, not really a word, but at a college, because you liked it. Yes, it's infringing on your time of A, fun, although you're doing it for fun. B, I actually have work to do. Yeah, but you're doing it and you find out anything that you're doing. Like I said, playing an instrument, you name it. If you keep pursuing it, it's like, no, this is a priority for me. And I learned that I loved it, and I thought I was pretty good at it. I mean, we all think we're really good at college. I mean, I was all right. But I announced all the football games, the basketball games, even did like 8 baseball games just for fun. Set up a card table with like a long wire phone leading, and maybe 8 people listened to it on campus, but, who cared? And I didn't do it for ratings, Dave. And I thought I was okay. And I got a job in Rhode Island at a radio station in Westerly, Rhode Island. Then I Got another one a year later in Waterbury, Connecticut. Kind of moved me to this area. Well, this where you and I are. And then at that time, a little later, Channel 30, NBC, UHF station, which most people don't even know what that means anymore, with the antenna with the circle on the back. They needed the sportscaster part-time, and I applied and got it. My second chance trying at it. Fellow left after 6 months. The news director called me and said, I told you were the second best. You want to try another tape? I got it. And that was right at the time ESPN was starting. They weren't on yet, but it was the summer of '79. Almost Brian Adams 10 years later. And I said, you could, rather than me giving you a tape, I mean, I've been on TV for 3 months. You could turn on Saturday at 11 o'clock, the news, and Sunday at 11 and see what you think. And they said, you're all right. You could be our junior member. You're going to do would you like to do the 2:30 a.m., 11:30 California, 9:30 Hawaii? Would you like to do the wrap-up show? Absolutely. It's right here in Connecticut. You don't have to move me. When could you start? So I started October 1st, a month after we went on.
What was that interview process at ESPN? Did you sit in front of Bill Rasmussen, or how did that work when no one knew what the heck it was going to be anyway?
Well, I didn't meet Bill right away. The first interview, Lou Palmer, oddly enough, one of our early announcers, the late Lou Palmer, great guy, was doing interviewing, and Scotty Connell is who I met, Chet Simmons, president, Scotty Connell, right-hand man, came from NBC Sports. So it's not like they were rubes. They knew what the hell they were doing. Well, apparently not totally, because they hired me. But and ESPN is paying the price 45 years later. But it's a longer story, but Scotty had 6, 7 kids also. He liked young people who, it wasn't about what's your resume. Yeah, you needed something. But are they good kids? And I guess he thought I was a good kid, being a parent of many. And that was his judgment. And I think being a good kid, going back to my dad and my mom, helped me get hired. And the fact that they paid me $16,500, I was in heaven. I'm doing sports every night. Yeah, I'm driving home at 4 a.m. So what? The difference is, to advance a little, because we could stay here a long time on this, had I been 34, Dave, not 24, like George Grant was, for example, one of our early 7 of us that were the Mercury astronauts, the astronauts that we went up in space. We hope we landed in the ocean. If we didn't, we'd be dead. But George, 2 young kids, 3 young kids, was on the air in New Haven doing news. Again, not a huge paycheck, but going to be bigger than taking a gamble at ESPN. He had a family to worry about. I did not. So for myself or Bob Lee, Tom Mees was a few years older than us, but again, not married, not kids. Wasn't that big a gamble life-wise. Those that in their 30s married, giving up a paycheck, much bigger gamble. I had it easy, frankly.
Yeah, did you guys at the time realize you were creating this thing that was going to become, in its heyday, the biggest thing that was out there? I mean, you kind of don't know when you're in the moment, or do you realize, wow, we now can do something that's never been done?
Well, anybody that thinks they're painting the Mona Lisa and we're going to be shown in the Louvre is quickly not going to make it, right? No, we knew this much, Dave. What we were doing was real. We cared whether you were a camera person or, 1 or 2 of the program or salespeople. I mean, we had 75, 80 people out of the gates doing everything. That includes the president of, Bill Rasmussen, the founder, and Chet Simmons and Scotty Connell, A and B, you're running the place, 2 gentlemen that I will forever revere. So what we thought we were doing, was it important? No, it's sports. But was it unique? Yeah. These sports, look, Walter Cronkite did 30 minutes of the news of the entire world. We were doing, at least our job, Sports Center, 30 minutes of just sports. So it's never been tried, really. Not that we were discovering the North Pole. Again, I'm using a lot of analogies, but what we knew what we were doing, we were serious about it. Obviously, we were rebels without a clue, as I like to say. But here's what I did know. It's important to know this, is my feeling. There were people out there like me who would like to watch this stuff. And we had college we didn't have a lot of A programming there, but we had college basketball, even that first winter, on a Tuesday night. Not ever done. We had, but as it turned out, we had to deal with the Metro Conference, okay? Well, in that conference, then was Louisville, coached by Denny Crum, and a guy named Darrell Griffith was their star player. And we had him on maybe 6-7 times during the season before even the tournament started. They ended up being the NCAA champs. If you got ESPN, you saw this team a half dozen times. As it turned out, we put the draft on. I mean, that was a gamble, but the NFL one day. We had auto racing on, and listen, I grew up in the Northeast, so I'm not. But complete respect for those that follow and the depth that they do. Find out real quick how popular that is when a race is delayed by rain and our switchboard blew out within the first. You're like, well, why isn't this on? Well, it's raining, but so we had to put on, like a tape of something else for an hour, and the race eventually started in Darlington or wherever the hell it was. And so what we had on was maybe not a Super Bowl. We had the CFL on twice a week. We took the CFL game of we had Warren Moon playing for Edmonton. The uniforms looked like the Packers, and it was snowing, and they won 5 Grey Cups. So we knew who Warren Moon was. He won the Rose Bowl in Washington. So the stuff was okay, and we became a cult following. So that was really cool.
Yeah, once they got past,
we were creating this. Anybody that says that is lying.
And once you guys got past Australian rules football and men's professional softball, and ESPN started getting more and more into the professional brands, your stock grew. But I've always wondered, because I know you're just organic. So you have so many catchphrases that you have created over the years. And I know you didn't just set out to make something and say something that was going to catch on, but where did all of these catchphrases like back, and fumble and rumbling, tumbling, and all of these things, how did those evolve to make you this icon that you became?
Well, I don't know if I'm an icon, but I thank you for that. But look, a lot of them evolved at 2:30 in the morning live. There are a lot of people that work the 2 or the 3 shift. But I don't care if that's your regular shift, if you will. At 2:30 in the morning, you're still a little off, right? I don't mean in a bad way, just life, right? So these nicknames, for example, anyone that sets out, hey, I'm going to be really funny. I'm going to say this stuff, and people are going to love me when I go, he could go all the way or back, or whoop, but that was later on. But you know what I'm saying, or Burt B. Home, Bly Levin, like that. I'm going to be the most popular guy ever out there. That never works. Anyone that knows me knows that I didn't. 2:30 in the morning, it's sports. Let's have a good time. Half of these games we don't even have video of in the early 80s. Kansas City 5, Seattle 3. The score's up there for a minute. So use Julio, won't you let me take you on a sea cruise? Had a 3-run double for the Mariners or whatever, right? And so they just came out. And again, it was licensed to not be reckless on Sports Center, but to do sports with people who like sports. We're not trying to split the atom here. So with me, I was myself. Yeah, you know better than all of us because you know all the characters. Bob Lee is himself. Bob and I are different people. but we both believed in it and did it being ourselves. If you're on every night and you try to be the professional announcer and blah, 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 and no knock on the networks, but they did it on the weekend. Wasn't a part-time job, but to me it was. We did it every day. If you're on every night and trying to be somebody else, Dave, you're acting. And you can see through that as a viewer pretty quickly. Maybe not in a week, but in a few months. We weren't smart enough to be anybody other than ourselves. And that I speak for the network. And I think that's what helped us become what organic, and we became a cult, and then we became everybody's favorite. And now it's the last 15, 20 years. Well, we're way up here, the worldwide leader, and we are. But you take your shots at it, you should. But back then in the 80s, we weren't your little secret. We were at the beginning, but we were yours. I miss those days. I really do.
And I do too. And for those viewers and listeners that don't kind of know what we're talking about, Chris gave great nicknames to many, many athletes that they became legendary, known for those. In fact, my proudest moment is when Chris nicknamed me Cat Stevens, and everybody's like, "Who the heck is Cat Stevens?" But but I knew I had made it, and I was just curious if there were any players that I know they always wanted that, but were there any ones that ever came up to you and said, "Hey, I didn't like that nickname. I got a better nickname," or anything like that?
Only a few. I was very careful, Dave, and it's a good question. Very careful. None of them were derogatory. None. Certainly not intent. It's not funny. Comedians who make fun of people and get laughs, easy. That's not great comedy. That's comedy. To me, it's cheap. You do some, of course. You poke fun, but that's different. For example, Mike Witt was a pretty good pitcher. You could call him Mike Dimwit. I never would. I don't know Mike. Maybe I met him, in the day. But that's not the point. It was not, I think I called him Sharpwit, for example. One player, but it turned out to be in fun, actually. It's a good story. Kevin Bass, if you remember, he was a really good outfielder, All-Star. One is with the Astros. He played with the Giants, a couple others. He had a nice career. I mean, I'm sure over a decade in the majors. Nice guy. He came up to me at the cage one time, and he went, I don't think I love that nickname very much. I said, what do you mean? It's Kevin Largemouth Bass. It's a fish. He goes, yeah, I know, but I don't know. I said, why not? Tell me. I can stop. He goes, well, it makes me sound like a complainer. Okay, I never thought of that. Maybe if people don't know that it's a fish, like largemouth, what is he? Okay, very fair. About 10 seconds later, I said, well, how would smallmouth bass be? He goes, that's fine. Matter of fact, that's great. So problem solved, 10 seconds. There you go.
Well, it's been one of those things that I think we miss it today because there isn't that. And there have been so many names over the years. And you occasionally get to get on and throw those in when you're on. But that was part of your legacy, I think, that really was not meant to happen, but it was such a cult phenomenon that I remember back in the day. Everybody, Frank Viola, all these guys just loved it because it was a little different. Yet, as you said, it wasn't an attack or anything. It was kind of cool. It was one of those things you probably thought of at home over the years, but you would never say.
Well, I wasn't trying to do this either. But look, it revived the lost art in baseball. Now, mine were puns on the name, whether they would be, a movie, food, a song, something you said. But I mean, Babe Ruth, Joltin' Joe, the Splendid Splitter, the Say Hey Kid, I could go on and on and on. That was, that's part of the history of the game. And so in an odd way, not trying to do it, I felt like I was giving a new twist to part of baseball lore when nobody ever saw these people. The only thing you did was, even when radio became big, but even, Babe Ruth was, I don't know how big radio was in the 20s. I mean, it was fine, but I don't know that everybody across the country was listening to the Yankees. And you read about it in the paper, Babe Ruth, or the Splendid Splitter was the Say Hey Kid. They were descriptive, right? But mine are See, the best thing about like a Burt B. Home Bly-Leather is you don't have to know. You don't have to be a baseball fan, Dave. You don't have to be, oh, he's a pitcher. Oh, he pitched for the Pirates or Twins or name a few. Or he had the best curveball of all time or one of them. All you have to know is I was a parent and I said, be home by 11 to my kid. And as a kid, I heard be home by 11. It's a name you didn't have to even know who he was other than, I guess he's a baseball player. Those are the ones that work the best.
And it worked out great. I am so enjoying this. We're going to take a 2-minute break, not a 2-minute Chris Berman break, because that would be a little bit longer than most. But we're going to take 2 minutes out, pay a couple of bills. We'll be right back. Chris Berman joining us. We'll be back in 2 minutes.
Serendipity Yacht Cruises and Events wants you to come party with us. We're bringing the fun to the Houston Bay Area. Stay tuned for all of our incredible events throughout the year, featuring amazing food and drinks, live entertainment, special guests, and so much more. Fun, new, different. Serendipity Yacht Cruises and Events is where you want to be. So come party with us. It's more than a yacht. It's serendipity.
I'm Matthew.
I'm Melissa, and together we started Fresh Clean Threads.
For most of my life, I've worn a black t-shirt, and most were either too short, too baggy, or weren't consistent. Like most guys with a problem, I turned to my wife for help.
From our San Diego condo, using my years of apparel experience, we set out to make the world's best fitting t-shirt.
Since day one, our Fresh Clean tees were made to offer a flattering fit for all body types, be ridiculously soft and comfortable, and not break the bank.
And more than 1 million customers later, we still make every t-shirt with the same attention to detail as when we first started.
And what we've learned from selling so many t-shirts to people around the world is that while the perfect fit and feel are the starting point,
it all comes down to feeling confident and empowered to live each day fearlessly fresh.
unleash your confidence at freshcleanthreads.com.
Hi, this is Kathy Ireland. So excited to share with you today our incredible Kathy Ireland Nutrition Supplement Powders by Amoxi. We have a beautiful array of powders to help you live a happier, healthier lifestyle. Our focus is on bringing families a nutritious option to complement your daily routine. With Collagen Plus, you'll see improvements in your hair, nails, joints, and bones, as well as skin elasticity and hydration. Immunity Support uses our proprietary green blends, antioxidant powder, and digestive support fiber to give your immune system a powerful boost. Golden Oat Milk is dairy-free and uses a recipe of turmeric and ginger, coconut milk, and our mushroom blend to give you more of an energy boost without the crash of coffee. And with Super Greens, we have a probiotic and digestive enzyme blend along with fruits, veggies, and 9 types of greens to help support healthy gut. Please experience the difference of Amoxi supplements. Let's get healthier together. Thank you.
3rd and 3. We'll see a pickup sometime on the right side, possibly. Montana looking, throwing in the end zone. Caught it! Dwight Clark!
And they beat the Dallas Cowboys 28-27, and now it's on to the Super Bowl for the Niners.
All right, welcome back to the Geary, Stein and Stevens Show. And as you just saw, some amazing and zany moments for Boomer in the early days on the field for the Cowboys, 49ers, getting shoved by all the fans in the stands. I mean, you've never really written a book. You could put in so much of those amazing moments. You know, are there any of those crazy, zany times that stick out in your brain?
Well, that's one of them. I mean, I still to this day, because as it turned out, for lots of reasons. I mean, I hold that up in the top several of my 45 years. Because of the football history part of it. Who knew at the time that was essentially the beginning of what was one of the great dynasties, runs of a football team? 4 championships, Niners, 8 years, starting with the game after that championship game when they with the catch. at the Mighty Council, like 20 below at the Silver Dome, which was my first Super Bowl. And then, 5 championships in 15 years, really, when you tack on 94. So football-wise, I was there at the beginning, if you will. Now, they didn't get in to host a championship game but you get what I'm. 81, they came out of nowhere. Well, 81, we came out of nowhere. We were still nubile, if you will. It was the first big assignment I had. I mean, the NFC Championship game. You're going to be the guy doing it with just one, one camera person, one producer, Tom Riley, camera person with Greg Wade, and a flight schedule from San Francisco to Hartford to put the tapes on, except for that night of the game. Where we made a deal. Oh my God, ESPN spending money to go as soon as the game was over, screech into San Francisco at KRON, an editor I never met before, put together this 5-minute piece in an hour and a half and sped it down the line and saw it run on SportsCenter. That was groundbreaking for ESPN. Not that technologically I had any clue, but it went up, it came down, it was on TV. Hey, it's great. And then there's the emotion of being there, the underdog, although, they were like a 1 point. But yet the upstart 49ers. Yeah, Joe Montana. Yeah, he's all right. Dwight Clark, he's okay. You get my point. Ronnie Lott. Well, he's a rookie. Bill Walsh. Well, they were 6-10 the year before. So for football, we didn't know it was the start of that, but we knew that this was pretty special. And now you're on the field the last half of the game. You couldn't be there anymore. Things have changed. And they've won. And 15, 14, 13, we run to, if not the middle of the field, on the field. So we're in position. And here they come from the stands. Here they come. So you ready, boys? 3, 2, 1. You professionally have one shot to get it. It's like, Joe had one shot to make that pass. I don't mean to compare what the hell I did to what he and Dwight did. 2 of them, well, Dwight's gone, ALS. Of all those, I was as close with him as time went on as anybody. And Joe and I are great friends to this day. And I am with those 49ers. I was their age, which was pretty helpful. And I picked them all year, and they all saw it, which I didn't know, but that's only part of it. And here they come out of the stands, Dave, and 3, 2, 1, and you got 25 seconds to do the stand-up, and it wasn't dangerous, but I don't know if we did another take, but it wasn't great, and with too many people, and you got one shot to do it. So at 26, and Greg and Riles, or whatever ages they were, we were on our game, we did it. And we're still running it to this day. I smile every time I see it. That just is nothing more to say. It's Candlestick Park, fan of the Giants, Willie Mays, Niners, Candlestick. It began a love affair with me and the 49ers, owner Eddie DeBartolo to this day. I was their age. And it was different. You could trust, he might say something. No, he's not. I get to be very close with a lot of that team as a result. But you didn't know that at the time. You knew that you had 20 seconds to do this because here they come.
And you hope your audio was working.
Yeah, if not, can't do much about it.
Well, Boomer, if as I take a sip of my cold coffee from this morning, let's pretend we were at the White Birch and we were sitting there and you and I are having a beer. What pops into your head as the epitome of the Chris Berman broadcasting career? What's the big one moment? Is there that one that every now and then just kind of pops in as your Super Bowl or your World Series moment or your one shining moment? Is there that's the Chris moment in your life?
Well, yeah, there is one. You probably know the answer already, although, it's a long time ago. I like to think that we're still doing things that are fun and people enjoy it with prime time, et cetera. But it was a baseball moment. A moment for America, as it turned out again. And my God, it's 29 years ago, September 6th, 1995, the night that Cal Ripken surpassed Lou Gehrig's Ironman streak of 2,130 straight baseball games played, a streak, and a number as a young. We knew that from the history books. Babe Ruth, 714 home runs. Got it. 2130, Lou Gehrig. Joe DiMaggio, 56-game hitting streak. These are numbers that you just knew if you not everything's on your phone when you're 10 years old and 95. You actually have to read and do some homework and commit some stuff to memory. You can't Google anything. You actually were better fans in a lot of ways because you had to work at it. I don't mean better fans, but you had to work at it. And you did it because you liked it. It wasn't so available to you, but you knew those numbers. And so that night, which is a Wednesday night game on ESPN, which was my night to do the game, and Buck Martinez and we were the Wednesday night announcers. So when I wasn't muscling anybody out because I'm Chris Berman, that was my night. I was the number 2 baseball team, and the Sunday night games were John and Joe. They're great. And John was the announcer of the Orioles, so he wasn't going to do this game anyway. He had to do so. He might have had he not been, actually, if I think about it. And so that night, which everybody watched, baseball had been on strike the year before. We had no World Series, so there was that background. And we got to Memorial Stadium to Camden Yards, and it was just magic. The night before there was magic. Number on the warehouse, and then when the game became official, and everybody has seen it, or if you haven't, you should. Not because it was me. Game becomes official when the team behind in baseball has batted 5 times. So the California Angels were trailing the Orioles at the time, and when the third out was made in the top of the 5th, even if something else happened, the game was official, and Cal had done it, and 2-1-3-1 came on the warehouse, and Cal ended up in the crowd. I'm teary when I think about it. I was honored to be there. The fact that we announced it was just I've told Cal a million times. I was just honored to be there, let alone an announcer in the stands. And of course, Buck and I were crying half the time out of happiness. It was a night for America. You go to work, you pack a lunch, you go to work for 14 and a half straight years, you never call in sick. Okay. Now, Cal got paid a lot more than a lot of people, but that's not why he did it. He did it as if he was, a basic worker, could have been in a car, making automobiles. Could have. And that's kind of America. And at least how I see it. And 23 minutes of silence for us, but the crowd was just electric, and we went around the crowd, and you could see it. He didn't plan any of this. Going all around the field and shaking hands with policemen in the outfield and fans leaning over and et cetera, et cetera. And it was President Clinton was the third inning with us in the booth. Joe DiMaggio was in the stadium representing, as he said later, my teammate, Lou Gehrig. My teammate for 2 years, or a year and a half, and Lou ALS and passed away. Not right away, but couldn't play. No one knew what it was, Lou Gehrig's disease. Earl Weaver was on with us. We could go on. Brooks Robinson, one of the nice.
Boomer, was that a conscious choice since they're the announcer? Because I remember that. The biggest moment was when you didn't talk, and did you guys consciously say, we're just going to shut up and let this play out, or did it just evolve?
No, it evolved, although I will give myself a little credit. About a week before, Howard Katz, our number 2 man at the time behind Steve Bornstein, Stevie B, my buddy, I said, I don't know what I mean by this, but I view this upcoming broadcast as a semi-announcerless game. He asked me, what do you mean? I went, I don't know. I really don't know. Now, we never said, let's shut up. But you're quiet for a little bit, and then it's, this is unbelievable. This is before HD TV, obviously, Dave. Again, we got to put it into perspective. It's almost 30 years ago. And let the people just see it. Let them see what we're seeing.
Let them experience it.
Half the time because we were crying. And the moral of the story, which is not why we did the game, Buck and I, and Phil Orland's producer, and Jimmy, everybody else, Jimmy Moore, everybody, or Mark Payton, I should say, at this point. But we we won an Emmy for saying nothing. So the lesson in that is, years later, is we get paid to speak every now and then. STFU, you know, that was better than anything we could have said anyway. So, very
Well,
cool.
speaking of getting paid,
They asked me for a nickname in the booth. The night was like, are you kidding?
well, speaking of speaking as your job, I got to ask, because you've been in a number of movies, and it was just cool to see how you've been and evolved over the years in the Adam Sandler movies and the Hootie and the Blowfish. I mean, you've built so many amazing relationships. Was that surreal to go from a SportsCenter anchor and this kid that, you know, comes from Connecticut to suddenly being up on the big screen?
Well, I played myself, so if I don't have that roll down, I haven't been paying attention. And all these movies, you know, Necessary Roughness was my first one. The Little Big League was a fun one. That was a really cool one. But with Adam, I mean, being in the Longest Yard remake, that was great. Just fun, great. But I don't see it. I mean, I was myself. And I think in every movie I've been in except one, which was another Adam, those guys just did it as they're half spoof. They're great. Those guys are great. Adam, Jack, all those guys. I was the great Ronaldo and Grown Ups too, but believe me, I wasn't going to getting any award, you know. But everything else I played myself. Let's see, why am I spacing? Was it Cindy Crawford who was the kicker in Necessary Roughness? I mean, I didn't shoot my scenes with the same with football. I wasn't at where Michael Irvin or Adam, you know, quarterback, or Burt Reynolds was coach.
You and Fouts were just in a room, right?
Yeah, correct. And they said, well, we might make a Necessary Roughness too. I mean, that was kind of fun. It had to be Cindy, right? Kicker. Again, I've never met her, but I said, look, I'm kidding. If I come back in Necessary Roughness 2, which was a cute movie, I'm either the quarterback this time, who was Scott Bakula, or I'm in the sack with the kicker. Okay. We're kidding. Nobody ever called. They never made it. It was cute. It was a cute one. That's early 90s. That was a long time ago.
Well, Boomer, I mean, you're not retired, but you're semi-retired. I mean, what is life like on a daily basis for Chris Berman?
Well, the football season, it's not like I do the Sunday to prime time. We watch all the games, get in there about 12:30, watch all the games, do the show, do some retapes, and now we put into perspective after these games are really over, some of them ending while we're on. So if you watch prime time on Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday as opposed to live Sunday night, there's a bonus 5 or 7 minutes, like a bonus chapter, because let's think about what the hell the day was. Then we take Monday night, the fastest 3 minutes, which is on most Mondays. Sometimes, there's something else they have, but usually it's on. And that's kind of a throwback to something I've done my whole career here since the 80s, since we had Sunday Night Football. We used to do it live, which, by the way, is hard. It's not being in a coal mine, but let's calm down. But it's you could easily be 5 seconds behind live and not catch up. And that's like, oh my God, for our business, that's, oh my God. You're still talking about, this game, and you're on to the Steelers now. Like, what? You can't talk any faster. So, and, I call my coaches and my folks in the league, and I have some really great ones. And I'm not just calling to say, hey, how's it going? I'm doing my homework, and they appreciate it. And but then when the 6 months that there is no football, if you want to break it 6 on, 6 off, or maybe it's 7 and 5, whatever it is, then I'm kind of, other than if ESPN needs me for something special, that's the retirement part. So, but I'm not on every day like I used to. We used to do the Swami. That was like a blast. But that would be a Friday, and really figuring it out Thursday night and Friday. I did that. not like I'm above it, but I did that already. I'm almost 70. I'll be 70 on May 10th. I'm happy ESPN has me around. I think I offer something with football still. And and they do, then more importantly, the viewers do, I think. And I still like doing it. Booger's great. I mean, Tommy Jackson remains one of my best friends. We talk every week or every 10 days, whatever it is. Booger's Tommy 2.0, and I don't mean the same, but he's wonderful. We have such a good time, and our crew is great. And, you know, it's a fun, it's a little band of football fans that do a football show. Nothing's changed in 1987 when primetime was invented. Not that I didn't like Countdown, which was game day. Not that I didn't like the Swan. I liked every bit of it. Not that I didn't like going to the game, but I mean, Sunday people go, "What's your stadium you like?" Well, unless I sneak into a Thursday game, I'm not at any of them except for the Super Bowl. I mean, because we're in the studio. But I love doing that. I love professionally, Dave, that it was my idea to see if the NFL would, and I presented it to Jimmy Patero, our president, who loved it. You know, not easily done. You don't rubber stamp anything with the NFL. I went, look, we got this new thing in 2019 called ESPN Plus, and maybe at the time it's in 2 million homes, 3 million. Well, in 1979, ESPN was in 3 million homes when we went on the air. And I said, if there's one last thing I can do for you, not knowing I'd still be around even at this point, I said, maybe we can help put ESPN Plus on the map, the way we help put ESPN on the map. And we're not the only reason, but ESPN Plus is now with 35 million. I don't know the answer. Again, prime time, I like to think is a go-to, but it's not the only thing. All the games that are on, et cetera. By the way, I get no extra money if somebody watching this signs up for ESPN Plus. I don't get a cut of it. Okay, so but that's not the point. I'm being funny. I feel
wait till after the sale of Disney and ESPN happens, right? We don't want to get that.
I mean, listen, but I feel, Dave, a sense of like we put the bricks in early, not knowing we're putting the bricks in. One last thing, we help put the bricks in, and maybe this is the third generation of people that are enjoying what I do, and I never really thought I'd be around this long. That wasn't the point. Been here 45 years. If I get to 50, it's not a goal. I'd like to, but that's not why I keep doing it. That's not even we'll see. But here we are. If you're a football fan, we have a chance to watch a team do something they've never done. Win 3 straight Super Bowls. I don't know how it's going to turn out with the Chiefs. They certainly have a hell of a chance. They win differently every week, as we see. It doesn't mean, by the way, lose one game. You lose one game and goodbye. So, but this is pretty cool. And as it's turned out, Andy Reid has long been one of my best friends in the business. And so I'm a little on the inside there. I kind of know what I'm seeing. And I mean, I'm not in the room diagramming plays. I'm the Andy with the fumble and Rooski, you know. So that's really kind of fun for me, but it's fun for football fans, whether you root for the Chiefs or against the Chiefs. We've never seen it. There's a reason nobody's won 3 straight Super Bowls, right?
Yeah.
Hard.
Yeah.
So just as a fan, it's cool being not in the driver's seat, but in the car when this is happening, if it does. And whether Buffalo or Baltimore or Pittsburgh or somebody else beats them out of the AFC, or whether they get to the Super Bowl and somebody beats them like Detroit or San Francisco or whatever. As somebody once said, Dave, and you know who this is, that's why they play the game, right?
And we might get your 49ers Bills Super Bowl after all, so, you know.
Might. It's been possible. It might. They're playing in a few weeks. I always feel it's my game. I only picked it 12 straight times. 7 in a row, one of them made it. Never against each other. 7 in a row. Nobody was 50% over 7 years. And the beauty is, Dave, I took all August off. I didn't have to handicap anything.
Are you still calling Scott Birchtold on Sundays?
Well, no, Scott's not with the Bills anymore. Although
I didn't know that.
Yeah, no. But time goes on for a lot. But we're in touch.
Right. Well, speaking of time going on, Boomer, and I know it was such a horrible tragedy to lose your wife and to what you had to go through that. Because did that change your retirement plans? Because I know you built the house in Hawaii, you had things to do. So did that change your retirement plans about being on air? Are you kind of on air because you still have things that you want to do?
Well, she passed the day before I officially was kind of semi-retired.
Right.
It turned out, did it change it? I mean, it's 7.5 years ago, which, we miss her dearly, obviously, Kathy. I mean, she's a great wife and a great mom to our kids who have gone on to be young parents. Looking back, the only way I could do it is look back at it. It probably, but not this being able to kind of do football, but be kind of retired 6 months. I mean, but then do it, but live in Connecticut. But it's not Monday I got to go in for 10 hours or Tuesday. Not that this is, again, not a coal mine. So to say that 7.5 years after her passing car accident, that I wouldn't be doing this now. I mean, ESPN Plus wasn't even a thing. I might have come up with that idea. I might not have. ESPN might have gone, you know what, you're done. You're not, we don't need you around anymore. And thanks to Jimmy, that, there was a thought there maybe a while that was, but they're not here and Jimmy is, and it's all good. So I don't know. We all, not to change the question, because the answer is I don't know. Maybe not doing it now, but maybe, because it wouldn't really impact on a yearly basis other stuff like going to live in Hawaii, which I do. When the season's over. It's a long commute, Dave, to come in and do Sundays if you're going to Hawaii. Okay? I mean, I like Hawaii too. But I'll get there after the Super Bowl. But they keep extending the season, so I'm beginning to wonder now. I mean, hopefully, soon it's going to be on President's Weekend. I don't know when, but that, I digress. We all look back in life. You do, I do, good and bad. But let's put it our own spin. Not had this horrible event not happened, I wouldn't have. Let's change it to, I had two choices professionally, or maybe to marry this girl or that girl, or lady, or anything in between it. And there were two roads. I think of Yogi, if you get to a fork in the road, take it. One of the great Yogi, they say no more, right? But had I taken this road, as opposed to not only me, you, any of us, boy, if I'd gone down this road, it would have been cool. I wonder how that would have turned out. If I'd gone down this road, but I went down that road instead. And it's not only just one road, it happens more than once. You wonder how your life would have been different if, again, this is not a direct answer to your question, but that's kind of fun as long as the road you went down turned out to be, if not the right one, a good one. And by the way, often that's not often the case, or sometimes not the case, but you do want. That's what I go to Hawaii for, to think about things like that. Geez, I wonder what would have happened if. But it's been, my God, I've had a blessed life, and I'm glad to share it with folks, folks like you. And I'm not just saying that because I'm on. I mean, Dave and I've known each other forever. And he'd be on the reason he asked about Scott Birchtold or Bill Johnston from the San Diego Chargers.
I took those calls.
Sunday, it's like I have no time to talk to anybody. I'm writing the show. We're on at 10. How early can you get in? I was up till 1. I'm up at 6. Like, I'm back in, blah, 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 blah. But there were 2 calls, and Dave would be on the assignment desk knowing these guys have things to do on the day of the game, too. And it wasn't the internet, so it was like the last, hey, you don't know this, but not you, meaning, but so-and-so's not playing today. Oh, what happened? Well, last night he tripped over his suitcase. I'm making it up. Well, nobody knows it, but you can break the story. Not that that's, oh, my God, but so the Bills and the Chargers, they enjoyed it, too. it would be the last word on 2 teams. I could have had more, but you have no time. And Scott was always at about 9A. They're usually playing at 1. Of course, if they're on the West Coast, it'd be 6A. Bill Johnson, the Chargers were playing at 1, but so he would call me at 6:15 West Coast because I needed 9:15 because I'm on at 10. I gotta go. But he wanted to, it was like one of the relationships you make in this business, whether the football or baseball or golf, in my particular case. But in our business, to work with folks like you to share laughter on stuff that happened 25 years ago, those are what you keep forever, even as much as Cal's night or the catch or, being in the stands, reporting at the earthquake. Again, these are all a long time ago. The 89 World Series, oh my God. I mean, that'd be another one I would certainly talk about. Being at all these Super Bowls. I mean, my God, who gets to go to all these? Or be under the goalpost, standing there with Steve Young when Vinatieri's field goal went through and it landed 2 yards from us when they beat the Rams. Like, oh my God, what just happened? Or right before the Seattle at the 1, you should have run, but the throw, and Malcolm Butler being at the 5 when Russell Wilson, I'm talking being on the 5. Russell Wilson hit Curse with the moon ball, and I thought my lip syncers could see because I'm standing there with Tommy, and he was in bounds. Like I assumed they were going to review it, but I could see it. I was probably closer than the side judge or the correct ref. And when he blanking caught that, and I went, oh my God, they probably just saw him right here. He's right here. So being in those, if you love sports and having that bird's eye view, yeah, I guess it'd be an interesting book. But to quote Kenny Rogers to finish it, there'll be time enough for counting when the day is done, Dave.
And we, Kenny Rogers, great singer. We lost him too early. We've also lost too many people that you worked with that were just amazing. Mort and Hank and all these. And you've had longevity. Obviously, you've lived, but can you attribute to your success why you stayed and others don't?
Well, that's different. I mean, Mort and Hank. I mean, Mort, passed away this past year. Battled courageously with cancer and. Just did an interview on him. He's going into the Sports Broadcasting Hall of Fame in December, posthumously, unfortunately. And just before this, did an interview with a writer for the program and talk about Mort and how dear and great he was professionally and better personally. No, I like that. I don't know. Look, you got to your opportunity comes in life, whatever it is, Dave, and everybody has a couple of them. We're not smart enough to know that this is the thing. If I grab onto the end of the sleigh, it's going to go. But you grab onto something and give it your best shot because it might be an unbelievable shot. Might not lead to anything, but you don't have these opportunities that much, in which I did. I mean, I'm not smart enough to say, or I would never say, oh, he's so great at sportscasting. I don't know. I'll leave that to everybody else. I think what I am, maybe more than anything, is what our network is. I'd like to think, at least, what we built, and still so proud of it to this day, is that we're true to ourselves, and we had so much to do back then that we didn't have time to put on airs, frankly. I don't only mean 1982. I mean 90s, 2000s. We were doing the job of 2 and 3 people. Back then, 4. We don't have time for that. We have time we got to get on the air. We got to run camera. We got to do the audio, or we got to run the prompter. Or we got to sell so that ESPN doesn't go out of business. We got to sell some ads. Thank God for Budweiser the first 5 years. First check we got that didn't bounce, I think. So I mean, I never saw it, but you know what I mean. I think for me, I am who I am, and to many people, oh my God, we're sick and tired of them. It's funny, when I step back from all the home run derbies, now everybody, oh my God, if I hear back one more time, well, then you come up with something else. It's my best. I mean, it's okay. You don't have to like it. The different flavors of ice cream. When I stopped doing it, was I miss back. But
we miss it. The world misses it.
Yeah, but that's not the point. It's what there's many ways to do it. Carl does fine, really well. So I think that I am who I am, and I don't try to fake it. And I'm a sports fan, and I like people, and it's been reciprocated times 10. Sports fans kind of like me, and not all of them maybe, but I think I'm fair, and I think I deal with people the right way, and I think our network has dealt with people the right way, and I'm happy to represent it, whether I'm, our founder, Bill Rasmussen, in his 90s. I call him George Washington. He's on the $1 bill. I mean, I don't know if I'm in on any of the current, but nor should I be. But to have a small part in building something that's going on to be pretty cool, we didn't know.
Boomer, thank you so much. God bless you. And I can't wait to see you this week. Give you a big hug. And again, hopefully also see you in New Orleans for the Super Bowl. And just continue to give us our youth back, because every time you're on, we're on with you. And it still continues that Chris Berman legacy. So, Boomer, thank you so much for being a part of this. And thank you for everything you've done for broadcasting, for other journalists, for Brown University, for the V Foundation, all the things that you do. Thank you.
Well, you're welcome, Dave. Great to be with you. And remember, we can always be forever young, right?
All right. And on that note, we will end a excellent expanded edition of the Geary, Stein and Stevens Show. Thank you for watching us. Don't forget to follow us on all social media platforms. Of course, you can catch our past shows on YouTube and, of course, on your home TV and on Roku. So for myself and Chris Berman, we will see you later. Aloha, Chris.
Aloha, Dave. Cat.
Thank you for tuning in to the Geary, Stein and Stevens Show. Follow us on social media. Watch us on yourhometv.com, or now we're on Roku. Download it and watch us. And thanks for tuning in. Until next time, America.